Friends, so today we're going to discuss the problem E multiplication 4 from the AtCoder beginner contest 173. This question seems easy with respect to problem E types of question, but let's discuss it. We have to just code the question right, and then it's very simple on the if you like this question. Okay, so question statement says that you are given n integers from 1 till n, and you have to choose exactly k of the elements from those n integers such that you have to find out the maximum possible product. Okay, and you have to print out its modulo uh, of 10 to the power 9 plus 7. So you just have to find out different cases, and you can easily just choose elements. So you have to choose k elements from these all the elements you have given, and you have to find out the maximum product you can get. Cool. So let's assume that you have all the numbers which are positive. If you have all the numbers which are positive and you have to choose let's two elements, you will just choose the two maximum elements and just fine. Okay. But it can also happen that if like I have told that all the numbers are positive which have in the input. So you just choose the two positive elements. Cool. If all the elements are positive, you have to choose three elements, you will choose the first three elements. Cool. But now let's assume we'll do the same for negative. If all the numbers are negative, and then you have to find out what is the maximum product for two elements. So what you'll do, you find out the lowest two elements, and because then this number is even, when you multiply these two elements it will become positive, and because these two elements are the lowest, the multiplication of them will become the biggest. Okay, and thus same if you want to find out the for four elements, you will take the smallest four elements in the negative, so you have to just sort the elements. But if you want to find out for if all the elements are negative and you have to find out like let's say three elements, product of three elements. If you do the product of three elements, then you will observe that if you multiply these three elements, it's like minus 12 and minus 24. But if you don't take the smallest three element, if you take the largest three element, because the number will be negative after all the multiplications. If you take even numbers, then the number will be positive. But if you take all the negative numbers and the number is odd, you have to choose odd numbers, it will become negative. And thus you choose the largest three numbers among all the negative numbers, such that if you multiply all them, it is minus 6. So minus 6 is bigger than minus 24. And thus the answer is minus 6. So you have to first see this observation that if all of them are negative, you have to choose like these the all the numbers which are like greater, and if they are even, then you have to choose all the like smaller numbers. Cool. Now if you have a mixture of positive and negative numbers, then what you'll do, if you have a mixture, like let's assume all these numbers are there, you first segregate out what are the positive numbers and what are the negative numbers. Okay, now you have two lists, positive and negative. Cool. And then what you'll have to do here is, like let's assume you have to choose two numbers. Now you have two options, whether you can choose the two positive numbers, okay, or you can choose the two negative numbers. Like let's assume there are minus 100 and minus 200. So why we want to choose the positive two numbers greater? Because if we can choose the negative numbers too, okay, then it will become greater. So what we will do actually here is, we will like make a pair of two numbers of positives and negative, because multiplying two numbers of the negative will make it positive. So what we will do, we will choose two numbers from this list, and so on, two numbers and two numbers, and we'll push them in a common list. Okay, let's assume that I have made this list as okay. So multiply all these numbers and push them in this list, so there will be four numbers. And now let's assume, because you want even numbers, let's assume like you want four numbers, so you will sort this okay list. So this okay list will consist of all the two numbers you can choose. That will be, if you multiply these two numbers, it will be giving the maximum result. So you have to choose the maximum k, and k we are assuming that it is even. Now let's assume it is even. You have a mixture of numbers and you have even numbers. You have to choose even numbers. So you multiply these numbers, and you will choose the first k by 2 numbers. So if you want like four numbers, choose the first two numbers, because these numbers are multiplication of two numbers, and these will be maximum number. Okay, now if you want to choose, let's assume five numbers. So how will you choose? If you want to choose five numbers, you can easily convert it into even number, because finding out for even number we have seen, we can just multiply two numbers and make this a product and so on. But let's assume if we have odd number, we have to find out odd numbers for 5 numbers. We have to choose 5 numbers. Then what we can do, see, if we choose, so if you want to choose 5 numbers, we can either choose, like, let's assume like 3 numbers from here and 2 numbers from here. I can choose even numbers from this or an odd number from this, because I can divide it into even and odd. Okay, so I can choose even number from this and odd number from this, but choosing odd number from this number will not be beneficial. Why? Because if I choose no odd numbers from this negative array, then like it will make the whole product negative. Okay, so what is beneficial to choose odd numbers from here, and choosing odd numbers from here means that we have to always choose the greatest number. Why? Because let's assume we have to choose 3 numbers, so we can always take the largest positive number in the answer. So let's assume we have taken 10 in the product, and then we have to find 4 more numbers, okay, such that it will maximizes the product. And what we'll do, we have now removed this number from the whole positive array. Now our array reduced down to this and this, and we'll do the same for these 2 arrays. Sort them and find out the consecutive 2 numbers, multiply them, add them in this OK array, sort this array and choose the first k by 2 elements, and that's the answer. I hope you understand the logic. If you still have any doubts, please mention now. It's just that we are choosing and multiplying the 2 consecutive numbers, because choosing 2 negative numbers will make them positive, and that's what our main motto is. Okay, and that's we are doing for the same negative, and then we are doing it for the same positives. So I'll take it on to the code part now, and we have to then output it with the modulo. So that's the main solve function. We have to take the input of n and k. These are the positive negative vectors. Okay, then take the input of like x, push them. If it's greater than 0, it's positive. It's less than 0, negative. So we are just segregating positive and negative numbers. Then long answer 1 is just the total answer. So we have 2 cases. When one, there is no negative, like no positive values, all of them are negatives. If all of them are negatives, we have 2 cases. Okay, if this k is odd, if this k is odd, it means that the answer will be odd. Then we will choose the largest k element. But if k is even, we will choose the smallest k element. Okay, so if there is no positive values, we will go to the if condition. We will sort the negative vector. If k is odd, so we will reverse this. Else, so you can make 2 conditions. If it's even or odd, I have just sorted in the decreasing order, and if like it's odd, we'll make it into increasing order, and then we'll choose the first k elements and multiply them. This is just the modulo function. We can use this function to multiply this negative number with this answer. So this is the modulo function and the multiplication function. So we have to do the modulus. Multiplication is just the multiplication of all these numbers, and modulo is just modulo of this number x. Okay, then you can just find out the answer. Else, what you can easily do is, if there is some positive number and if it is odd, then what you'll have to do, you have to find out the first, make it even. So how you can make it even? You can first sort this positive array. Okay, it means that it has some values, it is not 0, but we have to choose k element which is odd. So what you will do is, you sort the first this positive array, and because if it is sorted, the last element will be the greatest element. So you will multiply answer with the last element, because if it's odd, you can always choose the last element. You can always choose the last element and pop it out from the array and subtract k, because now subtract k, k will become even. If k is even, you don't have to go in this if condition. Then make this OK vector, sort this like positive numbers and the negative numbers. Okay, and then what you will do, you will iterate over every 2 consecutive positive and negative numbers and multiply them and push them in this OK. Okay, also if both of these positive and negative vectors are odd, okay, it means that we have to choose every 2 consecutive numbers now. So let's assume, like in this, as you can see, the length is odd, so we'll choose these 2 numbers, but this number will get wasted. And same, if we choose the 2 elements and there is some element left, we are multiplying every 2 consecutive elements, but like the last elements are left, so we can also multiply these 2 smallest numbers and push them into OK also. So if both of the positive and negative arrays are odd, we will push them in the OK function also, or OK vector also. Then we will sort them such that sort with the maximum element first, so decreasing order. And when we sort this OK, we will just choose the first k by 2 elements, because we are multiplying 2 elements, so we have to choose k, like k by 2 elements, and k is positive like even now, because we have taken down one element. And then we have to just multiply the first k by 2 elements in this answer and just return the answer. So this is the whole code and the logic. If you still have any doubts, please mention now. Thank you for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Keep coding. Bye.